Mhm.
All right. To the people on the outside world, if you could let me know if the audio is okay. It appears to be, but
My hair is in that awkward adolescent stage.
I need a haircut as well, actually. But
It defies direction.
maybe we can just live stream that. I'll just go get a haircut and just
You live stream my kids cutting your hair. They enjoyed it when I had my head shaved on Winners Weekly several years ago.
So I don't think I've ever shared this story, but it's got to be my dad's favorite story. It's got to be. So as a kid growing up, and I'm talking real tiny, I'm maybe 4 or 5 years old, somewhere around that age. I hated getting my hair cut for some reason. I can probably guess that maybe my brother scared me that it was going to hurt or something like that. So my dad took me to a barber and literally had me in a headlock as they were cutting my hair.
You were like kicking and screaming.
And it was around Christmas time, and the barber apparently asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and I told him a gun.
Yikes. Yikes.
Yep.
Well, that's rather dark. Although I will say, I guess I would have been a 3 or 4 year old, as my mother went off to the hospital to have her second child, I told her not to come home unless it was a boy. And here we are together, the two serial killers in the making.
Held together loosely by a podcast and
and a general hatred of humanity. Yep.
All right, let's rock and roll. Welcome back, everybody. It's Friday. I'm in the United States. Paul's in the United States, and you're listening to a podcast. Or video, I guess. Whatever you're watching, baby.
Whatever you're doing.
I wake up and ask myself that every day. Actually, when I went to bed last night, Paul, or maybe it was the night before, I found an umbrella under my pillow, because why wouldn't I find an umbrella under my pillow?
Yeah.
Oh, this is fantastic. You can't see this, but now popped up on the screen. It says the newest Windows feature update is here.
Oh, I wonder if that means, have they shipped the final release, the final release?
They had to have, because this thing was on 1803, I'm pretty sure. Because
so you
I went
this
through
is like the
1809.
Okay.
I wonder if there's some sort of countdown timer on there that I have to go pay attention to.
You probably have enough time to do the podcast.
Yeah, you never know. You never know with these things. But while I go triage this, didn't Google announce today the actual fees that companies are going to have to pay if they want to license Android in the EU?
Yeah, this was some documents that were viewed by The Verge. But it's kind of interesting. They didn't reveal the full price schedule, but it varies by country. So some of the more expensive countries in Western Europe, the UK, Netherlands, Germany, I think was among them. France was not. I'm curious about that. The fees for Android will actually be higher there, but they're still on a scale of some kind. And so in those countries, depending on the features of the phone, it seems to be tied to the like the pixels per inch count, which, typically the higher end phones have, higher end displays, anywhere from $2.50.
Because why wouldn't
I'll just work around this thing. Anywhere between $2.50 and $40. Even $2.50, honestly, on a phone is probably a pretty big fee, because the margins on these things are really low. Maybe not PC low, but they got to be somewhere in that territory, especially low end devices. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting, and I guess, on low end devices in other countries, especially, I don't want to say lower end countries, but what am I trying to say?
Lower
end countries, you know what you are. No,
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean like that, but lower income countries, perhaps, yes. Lower end phones in those countries could be a little bit less as well, but we don't have the full pricing structure.
Yeah. So somebody was speculating, and this would be very interesting if true, is that so on a, let's just use the high end. Samsung ships the Galaxy S10, and
Yeah.
Samsung has to pay them $40 for that, and then Google turns around and pays Samsung $40 for placement of Chrome and the Play Store on the home screen.
Sure. It's a win-win
Yep.
or something.
Yep.
I don't know.
So yes, $40 is pretty high, but I suspect that Google will end up just paying these companies to do whatever, and then
Yeah,
I'd be curious if
Yeah,
that
I-
passes the sniff test though for the E EU.
that's true too. Right. They can't just announce the way they're going to comply. The EU could say this doesn't comply, but they never said anything about charging for it. I mean, it's really interesting the way they got around this. So we'll see. The ball, as we say here in the U.S., is now in the EU's court. Literally.
Yeah,
See how fun? That's funny on two levels.
we're just going to cut him out of this podcast for that. Yeah, it'll be. The story is not over, right? This is going to be an ongoing thing. I mean, the only thing that I could really add value to this, Paul, is it's unfortunate that Microsoft doesn't have a mobile OS that they could charge a license for that's less than Google's. That, kind of.
Or they could just give one away for free,
Yeah.
which would also solve a lot of problems.
Yep. Once again, Microsoft ambitions foiled by Father Time, and
Also by lack of apps.
well, yes, there's that. Although they could, I wonder if they could license the. Imagine that. Imagine they brought back Project Astoria. I wonder if Google would let them license the Play Store and search on their Windows mobile device. That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
We'll never know. But
Yep. This ship has sailed. It also sunk. They've dug it up from the bottom of the ocean. It's a museum. Nobody cares.
I wouldn't check your next inbox for about the next 2 weeks because people definitely care.
I know. Well, I know there's a few still, but like seriously, it's been 3 years.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying.
Yep. Speaking of Google phones, you got 2 of them. Is that correct?
Yeah, it required quite a neighborhood-wide effort to get those phones into my possession because I had 4 packages delivered on Wednesday. We were still in Dublin. One of them, a $600 Chromebook, did not required a signature and is now held up in a holding facility somewhere. But 3 of them, which all came from Google, were $2,000 worth of phones and a case, and they were just dropped on my front doorstep, no problem. So my neighbor ran over and grabbed them with my permission, and then my daughter ran over there and grabbed the phones from him, brought them home. So I asked her to please text me a photo of the boxes, and she said, "I don't understand why I'm doing this." And I said, "It's called proof of life, Kelly." So anyway, yes. So I got the smaller Pixel 3, which is actually right here. I can show it to you. It's very much like the normal sized iPhone, I guess. Kind of, both these things have kind of an old fashioned and or weird design to them, but whatever. This one's kind of cute. I like the color, actually. It's kind of pink-ish, although they say it's not pink, but it's, I don't know. You can't
Is
really
it
see it on
maybe could you describe it as blush?
camera. Yes, it is kind of a blush. It's kind of a skin tone, although I guess we don't use that term anymore either. Actually, no one's skin is this color. It's a real pink. It's pink is what it is, Brad. And then the larger one, which is white, which you can't really see the white too well because it's in a case, but is the XL. And actually, if I hold up my other phone, you can kind of see like not a big difference going on there beside the color of the phone. This material on the new, I'm sorry, this is the new one, is slightly changed, but very similar. And then I would say the phone itself is actually very similar to the Pixel XL, 2 XL. If you do have a Pixel 2 XL, spending $1,000 to get another one of these things is not a good idea. They're very similar. But I'm spending $1,000 because I had some USB port issues that
Did you?
I'm still working through therapy on. Yeah.
I was unaware.
Yeah. I try to be quiet about it, but anyway, I obviously one of the big things with this device, both these devices, is the camera. I haven't done too much camera testing. I just literally got home last night, so I did take it on the walk this morning. Not necessarily ideal conditions for photos, but then again, that's maybe a good way to.
That's kind of the ideal scenario, right?
Yeah, yeah, and they came up pretty good. You can see them up on Instagram if you're curious. Today's morning walk photos with the frost on the ground. Those are Pixel 3 XL photos. Beyond that, there's not much to say. I mean, setting this thing up is super easy. Oh, the display. The display's great, actually, in both. You know, the smaller one supposedly has an LG display, and that was the source of issues last year. I guess it's improved dramatically, and it's a lower res screen. I mean, it's kind of a 1080p tall 1080p screen. The XL is a 1440p screen. I mean, I'll do more of this kind of thing, but I'm looking at them side by side. I don't believe that the smaller one is particularly low res. It doesn't seem, terrible. It seems really nice, is what I should be saying. Both screens seem really nice.
What do we say about you?
Not always terrible. Is the general consensus. So I need to spend more time with it. I'll look at these things out in the sun, compare them side by side, et cetera, et cetera. I got to get it fully configured still. I configured this as a new phone. I wasn't actually sure which one I was going to keep. There's a part of me, I got to say, getting the smaller one and having something that would actually fit, like I don't have a pocket on this shirt, but even in a small front pocket like this would fit, or fit more easily in like jeans pockets or something. There is some appeal to that for sure.
Yeah.
And I bumped up the font size where it's fine. You can use it with one hand, which is frankly kind of neat. I mean, I don't know when Apple introduced the Plus phone. It was probably iPhone 6. But 6, 6S, and 7, I had the Plus. Next is 6P, all 3 pixels, well, the first 2 pixels, let's say. I mean, I feel like I've been using these bigger phones for maybe 6 years-ish. I bet it is, So I'm used to it, and I do like that. I'm not a fan of the notch. Actually, I could probably show the notch pretty easily. Let me find
the bathtub, as someone...
Yeah. It's big, and actually, let's see if I can. It's not gonna. It's so bright, unfortunately. What you don't get is that you can't really see there. Let me see if I can find a better way to do this. There's a I'll bring up the map that shows you where I live. Now I'm trying to find a I don't know, maybe that'll do it. The status bar that's on either side of that display of that notch is just this wasted space, right? Because it fills that space, and then you can kind of see it. It's hard to see, but on this side, closest to the notch, is that little white dot. It looks like that's actually a little caret, and what that means is there's other stuff it wants to display, but it doesn't have enough room, so it doesn't even use the space effectively.
Yeah, maybe Google should have talked to the people making the OS and made it a little more.
They could have. They could have gotten together. Maybe, I don't know, done
maybe
something
had a party.
Smart. Yeah. Oh well.
Well, you know what we need to do, Paul, is we need to go back to Hawaii to test it under direct sunlight again, because that was.
Yeah. Obviously, that's the correct way to do it. I agree, and I accept.
Please twist my arm to make me go back to there.
Let's do that.
Qualcomm, if you're listening, please have another event in Hawaii. Invite us so we can get lost again.
Speaking of Qualcomm, Brad, see, I can do it too.
You're learning. Look at that. You go to Ireland and you learn how to do a transition.
I've recorded 1,000 podcast episodes, and I finally did it.
Nailed it. What Paul is referring to here is this thing back here, which is the Samsung Galaxy Book 2, not Book Space 2, but Book 2, all one word. And it is it's shipping with the Snapdragon 850 in it, which is a sizable jump over the 835, although performance is still a big issue here. It does come with this keyboard, and it also comes with the S Pen in the box for the low price of $1,000. Comes with, I think, 4 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage, 20-ish hours of battery life. I think I wanted to be amazingly successful, but my problem here, Paul, and you probably might feel this too, is that's the exact same price as this thing right here, Surface Pro 6, the i5 variety. And we know there's no performance issues there. So
no, the performance is fantastic on that device. So what's the consensus on Surface Pro 6 battery life?
To be honest, I haven't looked at anybody else. I'm still getting almost roughly the same as last gen. I'm looking somewhere between 6 to 7 hours of real, like, actual usage. So that's, yeah. It's I'm actually, you can't even tell, but I had to plug it in. Yep, there's that charger. Because it was trying to rotate that screen. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I mean it's a Surface Pro. Like that's
yeah.
I mean,
yeah. These designs are such bald-faced copies now that it would be laughable if there weren't so many of them.
I mean, you can even see that they do the little keyboard click-in thing there.
Yeah, the kickstand. It's good. It's a good design.
Yeah, I had no problem with it. Just
anyone who complains about Microsoft hardware, there's a few things you can point to that I think are really good designs. This is definitely one of them. I would say the Xbox One S, now the X.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider the tank that was the original Xbox One. They've done some good stuff. I mean, it's a beautiful and viable design. I mean, it's been copied by everybody.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't a good design, that whole brand would have collapsed. Paul,
there's a good write a book about that.
I know. I was going to say there's a good book. You can go to beneaththesurface.com and check that out, which is you should totally do that. Speaking of which, that book is almost done. I'm in the editing phase. I'm on chapter 6. Then I might have 1 or 2 more interviews, and then it goes over to Mr. Paul Thurrott for final editing. So any proof errors, please self-addressed stamp envelope to paul@thurrott.com. But at that point, enough eyes will have been on it, I think, that it should be.
Right.
The biggest challenge I'm actually having right now is images, because you put them in the document and then you compile it into an ebook, and it's close, but sometimes the spacing between the paragraph before and after is a little off. But
I am familiar with this problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what else is going on? The EU. I was going to make a joke that Satya Nadella made his first commit on GitHub by sending over a check to them for about $7.5 billion or whatever it is. Microsoft now owns GitHub, free and clear.
I wonder if that's good enough for a pro account over there. Whatever they call it. How do you make money on GitHub? What's the? I
believe there's paid accounts. I think that's the idea.
But they're never going to make $7.5 billion, right? So this is kind of an investment in a community, I guess.
Definitely investment
developers.
Yep.
Yeah, keep your relevancy to the developer audience, which, by the way, absolutely viable. I mean, I was sort of researching when I was looking this story up today. I was reminded of the fact that when this was announced back in June, I think it was, GitHub's most recent valuation at the time was $2 billion. It's like there must have been a couple of companies bidding there. So,
yep,
7.5. That's is
that what it
one
was?
Nokia?
That's the number that came off the top of my head. I'm hoping that's right.
Yeah.
But so just for transparency's sake, developer edition starts at $7 per month per user, all the way up to enterprise, which is $21 per month per user.
And then there's the premium account, which is $7.5 billion. But the good news is it's a one-time fee.
Yeah, it comes with some free office space and deck chairs.
Yes.
So
also, I hope you don't mind us putting someone in as your new CEO.
Which, granted, I think they picked the right person for this. Nat Friedman is, you couldn't have picked, for those who aren't familiar, he ran Xamarin before Microsoft bought Xamarin and hasn't left the company, which a lot of people actually thought he would. They thought that he'd get snatched up and he would just cash out, but clearly not.
We may eventually find out that he had something to I bet he did. This, right? So I would imagine a guy like that had a hard time finding a role that made sense for him within Microsoft. And that eventually he was like, look, I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that. And they were like, what do we have to do to get you to stay? And they're like, I don't know, maybe you could buy GitHub and I could run that.
Yeah.
I know it sounds kind of simple-minded, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was something like that.
Yeah, I definitely think he probably had a part of it. It wouldn't be surprised me if somebody like Gabe All was probably maybe backing this at some level, because I know he's a big fan of GitHub. Remember, he helped move Microsoft over to that platform for their development. So not necessarily GitHub, but I believe just the Git mentality.
I'm sure the thing they were using back at Microsoft was like a VB script thing, and it was probably not super reliable.
I believe it was actually an Excel macro, and that's why Excel's so good, is they kept having to beef it up to make it.
Because when they went to 64-bit, it wouldn't run anymore, and then they were like, screw it, let's just use something else.
Yes. And then, Paul, the utmost important question of the day, now that you're back home, Black Ops.
Yeah.
How is it?
Yeah. It's good. I mean, I feel like I need to. I haven't done this yet. Well, since the beta, I need to get into this blackout mode and see what's going on there. There's always like this transition. It's hard to say this to people who don't play the game because there's just a bunch of Call of Duty nonsense that I have to kind of explain. But you kind of build up your class and you have different weapon types and add-ons, and the systems are different between each game. The system they use in this game is actually the one they used previously in Black Ops, of course, right? And which makes sense when you think about it. But I'm so used to it not being Black Ops that it took me a while to kind of remember. Oh, like raid. Okay, I get it. But there are these things I kind of rely on in Call of Duty that I haven't run into yet here, and these are the things I call the cheap kills. You know, like the little bombs you can leave around a corner, or you know, that kind of thing. So I'm assuming as I kind of scale up the character with the class or whatever he is. Like I can see it's right there. I can see it's like level 21. I've only used the one assault rifle. I haven't branched out in any other weapon types or different types of assault rifles, whatever. So I mean, there's just a lot I don't quite know yet.
Sure.
The maps so far have been very good. Mostly, because I've been doing this for so long. Like there's 3 or 4 remade maps in here that are classics from Call of Duty. Actually, I think they're all classics from. Yeah, I think they're all from Black Ops actually. That are fantastic, and I love the new versions of them. That's not always the case, you know. I think today I'm going to go back and play World War II again for a couple of games just to kind of reacquaint, you know, and then make a better decision about which one I like better. But then I also want to play Blackout, so
you should try PUBG.
Well, I like games that run fast, Brad.
And high frame rates.
You know, yes, I know I'm picky, but actually, one game I might be playing is Half-Life 2 for probably the 12th or 15th time because that hit backwards compatibility this week. Did it? Along with Portal. Actually, it's the whole Half-Life 2
I love
orange
Portal.
Box thing. Yeah, Portal's on there. The first 2 Left 4 Dead games. Actually, maybe there are only 2 Left 4 Dead games. But, you know, Half-Life is like a special thing, obviously. And all these games, I guess, benefit from the graphics. I don't know what you call it, upscaling that occurs from Xbox One X in particular. So they're actually they're not enhanced because the developer did anything. In fact, they did nothing, but they still look better apparently on Xbox One X. So I'm gonna have to do that. I gotta go play that again. It's such a good game.
It is. It's one of the all-time classics. So
yeah.
You got anything else for today, Mr. Thurrott?
No, we have a work meeting, as you know. I only mention that because after that, no. Yeah, sorry. I got to run out to the Walgreens, which is where my FedEx package is being held. It's like before they like just throw it away or something. And then you probably forgot all about this, but I mentioned before I went to Dublin that I had gotten in a Lenovo. C930, I think it was. I never wrote that up, so I will do that. I don't know today. I can already tell today is going to be, you know what I mean. It's going to pull away from me here, but certainly by the end of the weekend. How about you?
Well, I forgot about that meeting until you just brought that up, which I fully blame you for because usually there is not a meeting on Friday, but someone had to come back from Ireland on a Thursday.
Well, I thought I would be, you know, magnanimous and say, look, I'm going to be exhausted from traveling and everything, and I know we normally do this on one of the days that I'm away, but if everyone else is willing, I'd be okay with doing it on a Friday. And then I heard like this collective groan from the audience because I'm always that guy.
And he's not wrong, folks. He is not wrong. So, awesome. All right, folks. Well, that wraps it up for today. We will be back, should be back on Monday with a hopefully semi-regular schedule. It's been a little crazy here the past couple of weeks because Paul loves to live on airplanes. But that does it for today. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you right back here next time.
I did have the choicest possible exit row seat imaginable on this plane in both directions. And on the way home, there was no one sitting next to me.
Not even your wife?
No, because we bought the two, like the window and the aisle, hoping no one would have the middle seat. And no one took it. It was just the most, if you have to be on a plane for like 7 hours, that was the way to do it. Well, other than like first class or whatever.
Yeah. If you're going to do it cheaply, that's the way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Later.
All right. Talk to you soon. Sorry.